Okay, what I'm doing right now is I am going to create the water phase, which is where you heat and hold it. Now, you can use any amount of the liquid that you want. This is going to be a really nice face lotion. So you make it a little differently. Instead of using glycerin, I'm going to use Hydrovance, and I'm going to use hydrosol, and I'm going to use sodium lactate, honey quad, hydrolyzed protein, not the oat. I'm going to try the wheat, see how that smells. And I'm going to use lehtonen and EDT. I'm going to use those all in the water phase. What I'm going to do is I'm going to heat and hold anything that is fluid, and then I'm going to make my oil and butter and emulsifiers, and then the cool down I'm going to use Panethol green tea extract and vitamin E. This is a nice face lotion, and as I go along I'll tell you what I'm using and what you can use instead if you don't have it. There's no reason really to go out and buy stuff that you don't have of this. But it's going to be really difficult because of the evaporation to figure this out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat and hold. I'm probably going to do twice as much aloe vera juice and everything else. This is one of the issues that people who make lotions or creams or whatever have, is that you have to heat and hold it for 20 minutes, which means you lose a lot of the product. So people will use water because it's less expensive. And that's a really good idea. So I'm going to be using like 350 grams of liquid in my final product. So right now I'm going to try to use about 500 grams to make up for evaporation. So what I'm going to do with this is I am going to put in twice the amount that I need of each product, and hopefully that will account for evaporation. And then what I have left over I'll use in the next product that I'm making, because I have something to make after this. If this is the only product you're making, I would not go this route. I would probably heat and hold each ingredient separately, and that's a pain, but I can't think of any other way for you to do it. Okay, I want about 250 grams of aloe vera juice when I'm done. So I'm going to try to put 500 in here. Okay, 521. And because I've increased the aloe vera juice by like 20 grams, I'm going to increase everything else, because this is one of the products that you really want to have this part of it done. You want the proportions to be right, because all of this adds to the final product. If you're using just water, just aloe vera juice, you know, it's fine. I mean, everything after, you know, your first product is pretty much optional. But now I'm going to put in Hydrovance. Hydrovance is going to replace the glycerin that I normally use. And I want about 50 grams of Hydrovance. And if you check out, you know, the prices of the different things that I'm using, you'll see, you know, why you want it to be more exact, because these are all expensive, and again, you don't have to use these. The next thing that I want is I want a hydrosol. Now you could use any hydrosol that you want. You don't have to use the hydrosol. Again, everything that I'm putting in, if you're going to replace it with something else, you know, replace it. So in my final product, I want about 20 grams of hydrosol. So I'm going to put in 40 grams of chamomile hydrosol, because that's going to go really nicely with the oils that I'm going to be using. In my end product, I want about 25 grams of honeyquat, so I'm going to add 50 grams of honeyquat to this. I want about 15 grams of sodium lactate in my final product, so I'm going to put in about 30 grams of sodium lactate in my final product. I mean in my initial product, sorry. I'm going to put in about 10 grams of wheat protein. The proteins really have an odor that I don't like, and you can use, you know, up to 20 grams in your final product, but I really don't like what I have to do to kind of overcome the scent of it. So I'm going to put in now about 20 grams and hope the whole thing doesn't smell like it. Now the two powdered ingredients that I'm going to add, and I've seen, you know, different people say add, you know, to cool down. Some people say put it in with the water. I'm going to put in lehtonen and EDTA here. So I'm going to put in about 20 grams of lehtonen and about 2 grams of EDTA. I'm going to whisk this around to disperse the lehtonen, which can be difficult to disperse, which is probably a reason why people say to put it in here, and the EDTA. And then I'm going to put this up and heat and hold it for 20 minutes. Now the oils and butters. This is definitely completely up to you. I suggest about 100 grams of oils and butters, about 40 grams of emulsifier, 20 grams of cetyl alcohol, which is an emulsifier, but your 40 grams can be anything, but the 20 grams should be cetyl alcohol, and then 15 grams of isopropyl myristrate, which is completely optional. It just cuts down on any greasy feeling, even though I don't think that this has a greasy feeling. Okay, like I said, you want about 100 grams of oil and butter. And I'm going to start this one with our awesome calendula infused sunflower oil. Calendula goes wonderfully in anything at all. So I'm going to put, okay, 50 grams. And then I'm going to put in sea buckthorn infused oil for 65 grams. And I'm going to put in cocoa butter, which is always amazing. For 85 grams. And I'm going to put in about 10 grams of coconut oil. And I'm going to put in about 5 grams of squalane, which is amazing. At this point, if you wanted more oils, you could do it. I'm going to add jojoba oil and vitamin E later. And, oh, I forgot broccoli seed, which I use in place of dimethicone, which a lot of people use, but I don't use silicone, so I use broccoli seed instead. So I'm going to add 5 grams of broccoli seed oil. And I think that's it for now. Oh, and I'm going to add 35 grams, well 40 grams of conditioning emulsifier. What I did here was I added my 110 grams of oil and cocoa butter. I have about 35 grams of conditioning emulsifier. I have 20 grams of cetyl alcohol. I have 15 grams of isopropyl myristate, which basically is optional. It can keep the greasy feeling down a bit. So I'm going to wait for those to melt, and my my water for liquids are heating and holding. And as soon as these are all melted, I will bring them together for a luscious, luscious product. I'm getting my cool down ingredients ready. It is going to be 16 grams of depenethol. It is going to be 24 grams of extract. So what I have here is green tea extract, horsetail extract, and aloe extract. 8 grams a piece for 24 grams of extract. You don't need that, but it's nice to have. And I'm going to add 5 grams of vitamin E, and then my liquid Jamel Plus for my preservative. I've not yet decided on a scent, but over here I have my liquid Jamel Plus, my depenethol, my extracts, and my vitamin E. So that will go in later. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the liquids in here, and I want about 350. Okay, 363. I'm going to remove a little bit. I'm trying to make this as, okay, 343. Put a little bit more in. 360. Okay, we'll go with 360. I usually put a little bit more oils and emulsifiers in to make up for things like this. So we've got 360 of the fluids, which you could have this just plain water. You could have just aloe vera juice. What we have is hydrovans. If you don't have hydrovans, you can use glycerin. I've got hydrosols in there. I have chamomile hydrosol, sodium lactate, honey quat, hydrolyzed wheat protein, lehtonen, and EDTA. And like I said, you could have 350 of water. That would be perfectly fine for this. Okay, so now I'm going to add my oils, which is our infused sunflower oil. It's infused with calendula. I'm also infused with sea buckthorn berries. And we use coconut oil. Have to go back and review exactly which ones I use, but you were there, so. And 15 grams of isopropyl myristate, which is optional to keep down some of the greasy feelings. And then I have 55 grams of emulsifier. 35 is conditioning emulsifier, which is a product made by the Sage, and 20 grams cetyl alcohol. You can use any emulsifiers for that 35 grams. I guess you could use something else for cetyl alcohol, but that's my favorite emulsifier of all. So I'm going to try to get, oh, cocoa butter. I've got cocoa butter in there. There's not a lot of oils in here. Usually, oh, I have squalane too. It'll all come back to me eventually. So I've got 565 grams of product. And I'm going to alcohol my whisk before I whisk it. And I'm going to use the 565 to calculate my preservative and if I use any fragrance. Okay, so sorry that it's not I've sort of run out of all of my clear containers. This is my third product today. Then I'm going to take the temperature. Okay, right now I am down around 113. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my D-panathol, my extracts, chamomile, horsetail, and green tea. I'm going to add my vitamin E, that doesn't seem to want to come out, and my liquid Jamel Plus for sanitary goodness. I need to find another implement and sterilize it and then get the rest of that vitamin E and preservative out. Okay, I'm getting the rest of the vitamin E out. I need to get the rest of the preservative out. The preservative is very important. I'm going to take some, mix it around. When you're doing a lot of these lotions with the different ingredients, you know, the extracts and the lehtonen and the D-panathol, it might look like they're separating. It might look sometimes like egg drop soup, you know, that looks like just little wisps floating in there. But you just have to keep mixing it and it will all be good. I mean, sometimes emulsifications do separate. Not that it never happens, but usually what works well is to just keep mixing it. And I'm going to get one of my hand blenders and I'm going to alcohol it and then mix it up. I've seen so many videos where, you know, I'm not going to call anybody's practices into question, but I think that it would make customers and other people who are watching your stuff feel more comfortable, and also to show new people how to do it. You know, if you show your sanitation practices on camera. Okay, so here's our lotion. It looks really nice. I haven't added any fragrance to it yet. I need to think about that one. Because this is white and I don't want to change the color, it's really nice. I'm going to put in a little bit less than the recommended 1% white tea and ginger, just to give it a very subtle white tea and ginger scent. Okay, so I added the white tea and ginger. Very subtle. I used about half of the recommended amount. It's very, very subtle, but it's nice. This is, you really don't need a lot. This goes on really nicely. I'll show you in a second. Okay, so before I jar this up, I'm going to show you on my arm if I can. Wait. Ugh. I've been trying to figure out how to show you this. It works nicely. Let me try to show it to you. But it absorbs right into the skin. It has a nice subtle white tea and ginger smell. It has a gorgeous viscosity to it. It's really nice. So I'm really excited about this product, and I can't wait to put it on the website. Now this is our white tea and ginger. It's a little thicker than the pink one, but it absorbs into the skin. It has more cocoa butter, so it's thicker. Has a very light scent of white tea and ginger. Really nice.